All right, Gator fans, welcome in. I'm Kyle Crooks, joined by one of the stars from Gator softball, Skylar Wallace. Skylar, it's great to see you after a long season. Where do we start with all the accolades that you had, whether it's SEC Player of the Year, unanimous first team All American, a finalist for USA Softball Player of the Year, NFCA Player of the Year? When I read all of those things off to you, and I'm leaving some of them off because, we got a time constraint here. What does it mean to you to have so many honors and awards for the season you just had?
Yeah, I mean, it's an honor getting those. I mean, they don't take those, they put a lot of effort choosing the people that go into those awards and people that work hard. And I just think it reflects all the time and dedication I put the last year. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears out there, grinding with Coach Wallen and Coach Thomas and the whole staff. But I mean, it's cool. It's such an honor. And to look back at myself, 10, 15 years ago, I would have never thought I'd been in the position I'm in now. So huge blessing.
So now when you head into the offseason, I'm sure you got a chip on your shoulder. You want to get back to Oklahoma City. You've had the chance to play there a couple of times. You've had the chance to play there as a Gator. What are the points of emphasis for you? Because it's hard to get much better than what you are right now individually. How do you try to improve your game here in the offseason?
Yeah, I think it just starts with obviously staying in shape. So right now, working out, getting light work in. I'm not nothing crazy because it is an off season, so I'm not going to go hit and field every single day and tire myself out like I would in the fall. But making sure I'm staying sharp on my skills, I'm working out, I'm working on my endurance. But I think what it comes down to looking into the next year is really going to be like our mentality. I'm going to have to learn more of like a leadership and better my teammates rather than just focusing on myself. So how can I get my team in a better position to win? How can I get my teammates in a better position to do their job, hitting or running bases or in the field, whatever it might be? How can we collectively as one unit better ourselves, not just me personally?
And I've talked to Coach Walton before about what kind of leader you are and how you've grown in that role. And he said you're a very fiery leader. Is that the
Yeah.
way to describe the way that you talk to your teammates in game?
Yeah, there's always pros and cons to that one. So I'm not surprised Coach Walton said that at all. I take it as passionate and, intense, and I like that because that's how I grew up, and that's how my dad was. But sometimes you have to be more selective on words. But fiery is a good word to describe me and my leadership style.
Getting a chance to play for Coach Walton, Skyler, I'm sure you had plenty of options when you went into the transfer portal a couple of years ago. Why
Yeah.
was Florida the destination for you? Why was playing under Coach Walton so important?
I think it started with USA. The way he just interacted with us and connected with us. It wasn't even like we were just like his ball players. It was more than that, and you could feel that. And so going into the transfer portal, I remember my travel ball coach, Patrick Lewis, sat me down and we were talking, and I just said, I don't know, I had to sit out all this stuff. And so kind of looked at other options, but something kept telling me like, just look at Florida, just look at Florida. My parents were saying, hey, do you want to go on another visit there? Because I had visited previously before in my high school, my freshman year. And I was like, no, I've already seen it. Like, I've already seen the campus. Nothing's really changed. Knowing 4 years, who knows what the campus is going to look like in another 4 years, right? I mean, things change on a daily basis there. Ended up having a dream that basically my grandmother, who has passed away since I was 10, told me that I need to go there. And I just took a chance on that, and I knew that the relationship I had with Coach Wallen with USA was something. I think all of that happened for a reason, and just God was telling me that's the place I needed to be, and I haven't looked back since on it. And I've had countless opportunities, made great friendships, great relationships, learned a lot, and very in debt to Gainesville. So Coach Walton is just one of many reasons why I chose Florida.
Yeah, that's a very interesting story. One I didn't know about, the story of you coming here to Gainesville. But you mentioned the relationships that you've been able to create and on the field, whether it's playing with Hannah Adams to your left in your first year being of eligibility, being able to play as a Florida Gator and having that bond in the middle of the infield. And then having to your right, Charlotte Eccles, who's an All-American, who's such a great player and an even keel
Yeah.
personality. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Those
Yeah.
those two relationships you've been able to create.
Yeah, two huge ball players, and just to have a close knit relationship with both of them like I do is, I mean, I'm lucky. I feel like I know famous people. I do know famous people. They are famous. I know them. Like, that's such a brag. That's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is an interesting question I'm going to ask you. If you could talk to younger softball Skylar, travel ball Skylar, and give her advice, knowing what you know now about where your career has gone, What would you say to younger Skylar?
I would say a lot of things, but I would probably just say to trust yourself. I think the world makes it where you have to be such a big person now. You have to have followers on Instagram. Like you just have to do things that everyone else is doing to be cool. And I just think to know, like back then, to know that everything's gonna work out and just to trust what happens would have been a lot easier and a lot less stressful.
And now looking outside of softball, I'm interested because your life is consumed by softball, great players, that is the case. Do you
Yeah.
do anything outside of softball? Now that you have somewhat of downtime, although I'm sure you're in the cages, you're doing everything you have to do to stay in shape for when fall comes around and you get ready for next season. Do you have any other hobbies outside of softball?
Yeah, I have a hobby that my wallet does not like. It's called shopping. I have a
Oh,
really yeah, that's an addiction. And then Amazon, don't get me started on the Amazon because that's just easy. You can add it to the cart and it's delivered right to your front door. So you get that in there and that's just rough. But I like to shop. I like to go to the beach. I mean, I don't have a boat really or go out in the ocean much, but I like to deep sea fish. I like to hang out with friends and just connect and just take a step back from the field personally. I mean, looking at it, it's just like I like to do things that don't involve softball at times. And sometimes that's like a little mental break for me just to be human in a way.
do you have any favorite moments, Skylar, from this year? I mean, Georgia stands out to me. That was like one of those whoa moments. Like this is a different type of player. The way that you had 3 home runs in that game, 4 home runs for the series. Do you have any moments that you sit back and say to yourself, like, oh, I didn't know I could do this or do that, and this was a special moment for me?
Obviously Georgia's one of them. Even though we went 0-3 against them, I think the Tennessee series was something very fun to play in. The energy was electric. The vibes were, strong. We were going back and forth. They're punching us. We're getting punched. We're punching back. Punching them in the mouth, scoring runs. I think just like the adversity we faced after time after time after time, and those 3 games was just a lot of fun. I mean, that's what you play for is those high pressure moments. That's what you practice to play for. So that was a really cool one. I mean, I remember a lot of the games, but Tennessee and Georgia really stick out the most to me.
And Skylar, now as you gear up for the next season, number one recruiting class coming in for the Florida
Yeah.
Gators, a lot of excitement around this program. Just what are you excited the most about as you gear up for another season?
Yeah, I'm excited to obviously reconnect with all my previous teammates that are returning, but building those new relationships is going to be cool. I'm excited about that and just excited to get back and just build a team that's ready to get after. I think we have a lot of pressure that's built up in a way on ourselves, but starting, taking my experience and all my knowledge of the game and applying that to the younger girls and helping them out is going to take some of that pressure off and allow us just to play ball. And I think that's going to get things rolling and set a good tone in the fall. But just hanging out with everyone, seeing everyone return back, I'm excited about that.
Well, the journey to get back to OKC starts now with all the off-season work and fall workouts and all that.
Yep, it
Skylar,
does.
it's really an honor to watch you play the sport this year. Really one of the best players that I've ever seen play the sport. I've seen Amanda Lorenz play the game. I mean, it says it in all the accolades: SEC Player of the Year, All-American, NFCA Player of the Year. This was fun to do this, and I can't wait to watch you play next year.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you guys and all the time you put towards softball.
That's Skylar. I'm Kyle. As always, go Gators.
Go Gators.